investigations.
I can't get no justice from no one in Jamaica.
People and Power, at this time on Al Jazeera.
Information travels in many ways. Opinions constantly formed. Knowledge passes in an instant.
If you want to communicate with those shaping the headlines, this is your chance to ask questions directly to the people making the news. Riz Khan, at this time on Al Jazeera.
Al Jazeera focused as the troops pulled out. We focused when barriers were built and walls came down.
Women have been voted into parliament.
On the raising of one voice and the silencing of another.
Somebody knew he was coming.
We focused when bombs fell.
Potter, go.
And when Gaza stood alone. Throughout the Middle East, we focus on news and documentaries that matter to you. Al Jazeera, television that truly inspires.
As geeks take on dictators, bloggers turn dissidents, and social networks root for social justice, governments are going cyber, spying on their citizens, erecting firewalls like iron curtains, and closing down websites. We ask, is cyber-generated change virtual or real? Empire at this time on Al Jazeera.
Israel captured the Golan Heights during the Six-Day War in 1967. The terrain is hilly, and the heights rise to between 120 and 520 meters, offering a strategic landscape of defense for Israel's northeast border. The Israelis and the Syrians are at their closest at the border crossing of Quneitra. A small United Nations force supervises the area of separation between the two sides. Syria and Israel have been the most implacable of enemies over the years. Although the Golan Heights has been one of the quietest front lines in the Arab-Israeli conflict, the mutual hostility between the two sides remains as entrenched as ever. Israel's control of the land was tightened in 1981 when it unilaterally annexed the Golan Heights. The move was not recognized internationally. Today, there are more than 30 Jewish settlements in the Golan, with over 20,000 settlers. One of these settlers is Efi Itam, a member of the Israeli parliament and the head of the renewed religious Nationalist Zionist Party. Itam fought on the Golan Front in the 1973 war, known to the Israelis as the Yom Kippur War.
I was here as a young officer during the Yom Kippur War, while Israel and the IDF were caught unprepared, and the only reason why Israel at that time was not defeated by the Syrian combined attack of Syrian and Egyptian armies at Yom Kippur, we were all fasting, we were all in the synagogues, was the fact that we had that small amount of strategic depth. It's not very big. The width and the depths of the Golan Heights is maximum 15 kilometers, but that actually what gave us enough time to call the reserves units and to save the state of Israel.
Despite this strategic depth, many experts predict that the critical issue between Israel and Syria over the Golan Heights is now less to do with the actual land and more to do with water. Israel gets as much as 30% of its water supplies from the Golan. The water supports the Jewish settlements as well as agriculture and other prosperous businesses. Chateau Golan is a winery situated beside the frontline fence. It was opened in the year 2000 with considerable investment capital, and today produces 75,000 bottles of fine wine per year.
The condition to grow wine grapes are very good in the Golan to compare to other places. There's another place, or some places in Galilee that's quite similar to Golan Heights. The reason is the elevation, the temperature in the winter time, in the summertime as well, and it's dry, very dry, and the soil is basaltic, so it's give us big advantage.
The vineyard is evidence of how the Israelis have settled and prospered in this region. For Israelis like Ribak, this is home, and a place where commerce can win over confrontation.
If we want peace really, and Syria want peace really, we can make business. You know, good business that both sides are pleased from the business. I have many Arabs friends. Golan Heights is a nice area and quite big and quite empty. So many people come and live here. Doesn't mean which flag will be up of the mirror building or whatever. Really doesn't matter.
For now, the Golan Heights remains very much under the Israeli flag. Many Israelis come from other parts of the country to visit on holidays and at weekends and enjoy the natural beauty of the region. Despite the picnics and the relaxed atmosphere, the Israelis remain deeply suspicious about what they regard as the intentions of the Syrians on the other side of the front line.
The fact that they want the territory clean from Israelis, from Jews, it doesn't make the wall lower. It doesn't really open the fences. It just give us the territories and make the fence again as high as can be. That will just repeat hostility and reverse at the end the whole process. Peace is not about exchanging territories. Peace is about changing people's state of mind. Let's start with that. We are here. We live here. This is a part of Israel. It's a part of Israel more than Tel Aviv.
Across the divide, Syria regards such statements as provocative and takes a very different view.
بالنسبة للجولان العربي السوري المحتل يحتل
The Syrian Arab-occupied Golan is at the center of our hearts. Its return to Syrian sovereignty, all of it, is indisputable and recognized by all political, legal, and international laws.
Syria refuses to participate in any Middle East peace negotiations without a guarantee that the future of the Golan Heights will be on the agenda.
Resuming the peace negotiations must include the return of the Golan Heights. This is absolutely non-negotiable.
أمرا محتوما لا يناقش حوله ولا يفاوض عليه.
To maintain its claim to the territory, Syria provides state benefits to the Syrian Arabs from the Golan.
طبعا من الطبيعي أن ينال أهلنا مواطني الجولان الحبيب المحتل كل رعاية وكل اهتمام، وبالتالي يعاملون كأي مواطن عربي سوري.
It's perfectly normal for our people of the beloved occupied Golan Heights to get our support and care. They receive all the privileges and rights as any other Syrian citizen. Their children who live in Damascus or the children who live in the occupied Golan Heights have the right to education and health benefits, and they are studying at the schools and the universities in Syria. Salaries and the pensions of the retired people who work for the Syrian government are still being paid regularly every month.
لكل من كان موظفا في الدولة ما زالت سارية المفعول وقائمة.
The hopes of return are continually kept alive. Musician Sami Shoker lives in Damascus but was born in the Golan. He often performs here at the Shouting Valley. His patriotic songs of solidarity with the Syrian Arabs in the Israeli-occupied Golan drift on the wind across the valley and over the barricades to the other side.
الوضع الموجود بجولان ما بيشبه وضع ما بالعالم.
The situation in the Golan Heights is unlike any other situation in the world. When you go to Ain al-Tine on the Syrian side, across from Majd al-Shams on the Israeli-occupied side, just seeing the people there shouting to each other is very painful. I think only a heartless person would not cry at such a scene. We have a profound feeling that this pain will end soon.
لهذا الألم الطويل اللي آن أوانه أن يختفى.
Malaysia has created amongst the world's greenest, most cost-efficient buildings and constructed the most futuristic Formula One racing circuits. Discover Malaysia's service excellence at the Malaysia Services Exhibition Abu Dhabi. Register with Matrade.
As protests, violence, and the call for political reform spreads across the Arab world, AlJazeera's in-depth coverage of events on the ground brings you the news as it breaks. Ongoing coverage of the Libya uprising on AlJazeera.
Afghanistan is faced with a huge challenge.
Relations have gone really sour between us and our allies. We have inflicted considerable damage on the enemy.
The people who make international headlines.
Ultimately, the truth will out.
They want to stop this publication of information that embarrasses them.
Make time for Sir David Frost. Frost over the world. At this time on Al Jazeera.
Behind the harsh reality of headline stories, creative forces are constantly developing. Across the globe, people use their talents, their imagination, and their vision to break down powerful